Good morning. We'll get started with this morning's agenda. The first item on the agenda is sign application SG 2019-10. Anyone here in support or opposition, come forward, please. Is the applicant here? Again? Did we inform him last time? You did, eh? All right. Well, excuse me, we'll set this one aside for right now then. How are we all today? All right, next application is B 2019-19. Support or opposition, come forward, please. Good morning.
Good morning. There's a recommendation for deferral, which we have no objection to today. Just as a brief update to the committee, since the last meeting, we have worked through preliminary site plan approval meeting with city staff. No issues from a site plan perspective were identified. What we're dealing with is the emergency access policy associated with GRCA. So we're trying to work with them and city staff and regional staff as far as access to the lands should there be a flood and an emergency event, because all of the overland road intersection and bridge is under floodwater in the 100-year storm. So we're working to resolve that, but the proposed severance and the proposed buildings on the site plan are located above the floodplain. So we'll defer this morning. We've been in discussion with staff on that and have no objection there, but be looking forward to hopefully coming back to the next meeting where we'll either have an answer from GRCA with additional comments, or we'll have additional information from the city or emergency services and be asking for consideration by the committee just to move forward here. So that's kind of where we're at. So thanks for this opportunity.
Okay, good, thank you. We have a vote to defer as recommended, 3 months with the option to bring forward. Jennifer?
Sorry, I just want to be clear. Is it 3 months deferral or?
With the option to return
bring forward
sooner.
earlier. Sorry, my apologies. Motion to defer.
Yeah, okay, second. Bob, all in favor? Carried, thanks. Thanks, Mike. All right. Next application is B 2019-14, A 2019-38, it's 128 Mill Street. Anyone in support or opposition, come forward, please. Okay, there's been just for the record, there's been numerous objections from the neighbors. I just want to note that. Have you had the opportunity to review staff report?
Pardon me?
Have you had the opportunity to review the staff report?
I just received, I've gotten the staff report about after the last meeting, and I have good morning, by the way, everybody. My name's Ryan. This is my son. He's homesick today. So I just got the emails. I didn't realize there was such an objection from the neighbors, but I'd like to speak to that as well if I could. I'm not sure. This is my first time here, so you have to fill me in on the protocol.
Sure. Staff's recommending a refusal. There's no support from the region, CN Rail, or the city on this application. I think what we'll do is we will hear from, I take it you're opposed. We'll hear from the people that are opposed first, and then give you an opportunity to address staff's comments for refusal and any comments that may arise from them.
Very good.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Okay, my name's Robert. I live at 116 Mill Street. I also own the house at 118 Mill Street. I, as well as several other people in the neighborhood, am totally against this proposal. I have read the staff report from June the 7th. CN Rail cannot support this due to excessive noise and vibration. This is totally understandable, as I have seen as many as 4 engines and 52 cars go by. This far exceeds the 2029 estimates from the original engineering report. Our houses shake and we are close to the road, unlike the proposed duplex, which would be very close to the railway tracks. Who will be liable if damage occurs in the future because of vibrations? The Region of Waterloo will not support this and are concerned about the utilities infrastructure. They also agree with the CN report. The City Kitchener Planning Department also does not support this. Apparently, Bell Canada has no concerns. This puzzles me, as a bell line cuts across our backyards from Madison to 108 Mill. Every house on this side of the street gets fed from this line. The proposed duplex would sit directly underneath this line. I have talked to many of our neighbors, and with all the construction and development going on in our area, such as the Barrel Lofts, Arrow, and the massive Schneider redevelopment, we feel it is unnecessary to start dividing up backyards and pack more people in. Backyards are our green spaces. Backyards are for trees, gardens, and relaxation. To build a 2-story house in a backyard will be taking away the enjoyment for many of us, as well as taking away from the character of our old neighborhood. Just to add, as of this morning, a for sale sign was put up at 128 Mill Street.
Okay, thank you. Your name?
My name is Ruth Keel, and I live at 132 Mill Street. And I'm concerned about the erosion of a hill that we have because they are lower than we are. And it would be the house, if he builds the house that is proposed, it would be very close to the line, and there is no privacy fence there. Again, my house is over 100 years old, and when the sewer and the main lines of sewer and the gas and water all were done a few years ago, I had some bricks that were broken and such, so I'm concerned about the vibration and the damage it could cause. Also, I'm concerned about the sewage because it is below the sewer lines, so I imagine you'd have to have a sub pump for that, and if it backed up, it could cause health problems, I'm sure, to the neighborhood if the power were to go out for any length of time.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? No? Okay, thanks. Okay, we'll turn it over to the applicant then. You can just address your application and maybe some of the concerns that you've heard.
Sure. Thanks for coming in, and I understand and appreciate homeowners who respect their neighborhood and you want to maintain the quality and the heritage of the neighborhood. I completely understand that, and I feel the exact same way. I've owned, my first place I purchased in 2008 on 209 Waterloo Street. It was a 100-century home that had been converted before I bought it to a triplex. Any changes I've done have maintained the heritage of the building, from redoing the front porch to exactly the same standard, having posts made by the Mennonites to maintain the heritage and the feel of the neighborhood. That's important. The house that was there was an absolute mess. At 128 Mill Street was an absolute mess when I bought it. It honestly should have been, if I was making decisions based on the bottom line, I would have demolished that house. but it was beautiful. It's a beautiful house, and it fits with the neighborhood. And I think that's important. And the green space is also, that's what really attracted to me to that area, is the green space in the back and the trees. And so I hear the concern of, there's multiple emails from neighbors concerned about maintaining the heritage nature of the neighborhood. And I completely agree. And that's why in my application I included a photo, I photoshopped and I think people have in their head an idea of like a square duplex building, like you know those triplexes, the square rectangular triplexes. I think that's what they might have in mind. My proposal is for a raised bungalow, basically, and the basement is going to be the second unit. Just the tip of, because it is lowered, just the tip is going to show over the backyard fence. So you're not even going to be able to see it from the road. Also, it has to be all brick based on the engineering report to mitigate noise and vibrations. So it's not going to be a cheap looking siding. It's going to be all brick. So there's a number of things that are going to be done that are going to maintain the quality of the neighborhood aesthetically. I'm required to have a tree management study done, so nothing can be built without damaging the trees. In regards to sewage, in the city report, there's conditions that I have, requirements that I have to meet to make sewage work properly, and as well in regards to noise. So I guess that CN didn't want the new build because of noise. And can I approach and provide some documents? Is that okay? Oh, okay. We got two.
I'll take them.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So they're just some pictures. I did a brief, some research. So, if you look on you'll see the proposed new building on the front sheet, and on the second sheet you'll see kind of roughly of where that new build is going to be compared to other houses along the railroad track. The railroad track is highlighted in yellow, and you'll see how much further back the new build would be. And also in regards to mitigating noise, you'll see there's page 3 shows a number of highlights 2 methods of mitigating noise. One is a barrier, and the second is in the construction of the house. Page 4, you'll see different noise barrier options. So a regular wooden fence would reduce the noise by 25 decibels. So bringing the volume of a lawnmower down to the volume of a quiet library, just a wooden fence. Also, the train track is lowered down in there's a bit of a gully that it's lowered down into, so that the natural hill will create a noise barrier. So there's options to even raise the noise barrier up to 50 decibels using a brick fence, and you can see there's a picture of what that would look like. So it would still look very nice. Also, there's a company that produces a very aesthetically pleasing wooden fence that reduces it or increases the noise reduction to 29 decibels. That's on page 5. So in addition to having a noise barrier, I'm sure everyone's aware of, I was not aware of this, but that there's a number of construction methods to reduce noise entering the house. And I've just included a couple of those methods on page 6. So I think with those two methods combined, the CN concern of noise, and that's why they suggested disapproving. I think with those, the barrier and the construction, we can reduce the noise to a comfortable level, and even considering the distance from the new build compared to other builds. And I do believe maintaining the heritage aesthetics is very important and a priority.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over to my colleagues. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one quick question for the applicant to start. How many units are in the existing building now?
It's a single detached.
It's a single detached home. In terms of intensification, have you sat down with staff to consider adding a unit or two within the existing building as an option?
I have. So it's more likely for me to be able to duplex that, so build onto it, or triplex, so add 2 other units. I believe that is going to be aesthetically less pleasing to the overall look of the neighborhood. But I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks. That's good. I note in the staff comments that you're going to be required to extend a storm sewer to service the property. Have you had any engineering advice yet from anybody talking how you're going to service the property from a storm and sanitary sewer?
I have not. The HGC engineering, they were to come in and give me that information. So it would be in their report. I can't answer that. From what I read in the report, it sounded like it was, if it didn't meet particular measurements, then there was a particular option that I was required to do. It sounded like it was kind of straightforward based on the initial report from the city. So I didn't look into it further.
Mr. Chairman, I have other questions of staff, but if others have questions of the applicant, maybe it's the right time now.
Mr. Chair, I do have 1 or 2 questions for staff, but if there's any other questions for the applicant.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do have just sort of one line of questioning. You've provided us with some specifications for noise walls. And I have the noise and vibration study, which suggests that the criteria for nighttime and daytime noise from a rail line is 40 dBA, and it looks like the analysis comes up with the severed lot exceeding that by 15 dBA, which is very significant. And then it goes on to recommend some mitigation measures, such as soundproofing, noise walls, and whatnot. I don't see anything in here that suggests that those mitigation measures will bring it down to the criteria. Is there anything that your consultant has provided to suggest that it's a guaranteed mitigation?
Well, from what I'm understanding, the mitigation of barriers and construction methods, so it would be enough to take it down to comfortable levels. So, for instance, just a fence, a wooden fence in of itself, would take it down, 40 decibels? Down from 90 decibels, the sound of a lawnmower, to the sound of a quiet library. So that's just a regular wooden fence with no gaps. So I'm assuming, based on the mitigation that a regular wooden fence can have and the natural landscape of lowering the train down into the gully, that if I either had a nice looking brick fence to mitigate it 50 decibels, or the specially designed noise prevention fence to mitigate it 30 decibels, that in addition to the additional noise insulation in the outer portion of the house and the outside of the house, that it would easily, to me, it would easily reduce it down enough.
Thank you. I'm curious, can you direct me to where in the noise and vibration feasibility study that's stated? I just didn't see where they've said what the actual impact of these mitigation measures will be quantified. Is that, because that's my whole question, has it been quantified what the impacts of the mitigation measures will be? I
thought, like, based on my understanding, the committee's concerns were proposed to the engineering department, and they responded to those concerns, saying that there are ways of mitigating the noise and vibrations, and that they approve of the new building. So in the original report, they said that there's enough mitigation factors that we approve of this build, and then based on the first meeting, they were approached again and sent in another report saying that there's enough mitigation factors that they approve of this build. That was my understanding of it. I would need more time to review those documents to find specific quantifiable data, though. Okay.
Bob?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to staff. As I understand this application, the proposed severance would result in what we have historically called a flag-type lot. So my question to staff is, I know there are a number of flag-type lots within the city, but they would, and here's my question, most of those, I understand, would predate any existing zoning. So are there many new lots that are approved in a P-flag situation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure when any of these flag lots would have been contemplated, whether they are recent or not. I know through the last 12 years or so since I've been at the city, I've encountered one such flag lot, perhaps two. Like it's very small in number. It doesn't occur very often because it's just they're unique situations. I think the planner didn't even explore that much further because the planner had concerns over. He's unfortunately not here today to speak to the details of the report, but the planner had concerns with respect to the noise and vibration and whether or not it's an appropriate location for a second dwelling. So that's, I think, where we're at.
Just for your reference, in my 18 years on Committee of Adjustments, I can't recall one application I probably wasn't on at those meetings. Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to staff, I think I recall two in the 12, 13 years I've been here. Because they are complicated. They impact streetscape, they impact snowplowing, they impact mail delivery. Going for a front yard of 5.14 meters versus 9, I don't consider that minor. And the fact that there are major concerns that have been come to the table with regards to the region and CN and a whole bunch of neighbors. I'm all for intensification. I don't think this is the right place.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just before we get into debate, I just had a couple of quick follow-up questions for staff. At our last deferral of this application, we were looking as a committee for how the servicing of the site might take place and how it might affect grading and drainage. Did you get a chance to consider that at all?
I can't speak for the file planner who was to look into that. If you want that detailed information, then it either has to be deferred again or perhaps the applicant is aware of what drainage information he may have provided the planner or not. Unfortunately, I don't have that detailed information.
Okay. And just a question of fact, there's one comment here about the storm sewer needing to be extended to achieve a positive outlet. Do you know where that storm sewer ends now on Mill Street?
I do not.
Okay.
Great. Anyone else? Questions, comments, motion? Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In addition to what I've been hearing as concerns from CN regarding noise and vibration, my comment would be very similar to my colleague in that this particular design of the site is not really consistent with the character of the area. My experience as a planner for 30 some odd years is that flag lots often create issues also with privacy. In reading the comments about the storm sewer, this particular lot seems to fall from the front to the back towards CN, and in order to achieve positive storm sewer drainage, you'd have to lift this site, which would definitely create privacy. I'm just speculating. I don't have answers to that, but based on what I'm seeing, I'm prepared to move that the application be refused.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
All right, let's get started on the regular agenda. First application on the regular agenda is the sign application SG 2019-12. It's 1250 Victoria Street South. Support or opposition, come forward, please. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Chris Cluthy. I'm from Signable Inc., and I'm representing the Waterloo Regional District School Board for the sign application.
All right. Have you had an opportunity to review staff's report?
Yes.
They're recommending approval with 3 conditions. There was no other concerns from any other agencies. Anyone have any questions or comments? Bob?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think this is very straightforward. The conditions that are specified in the report are the typical ones that we would do for something like this. So, and seeing there's no concerns from other agencies, I move that this be approved with the 3 conditions.
Second. Mike, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Pardon me?
Sorry, when does it go to council?
Oh, yeah, I was just getting into that. This committee doesn't have final approval. We make recommendations to council. For their final approval on council meeting is June 24th. So it'd be a good opportunity to be in attendance.
Great.
Thank you. All right, next application is SG 2019-13. That's 525 Highland Road West. Support or opposition, come forward, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
And
My
your
name is
name?
Persistence Chance, and I'm here on behalf of Michelle DeRosier, owner of Highland Park Shopping Center, 525 Highland Road West in Kitchener.
Okay, staff report, or staff are recommending approval without conditions. Anyone have any questions or comments? Or a motion?
Mr. Chair, this is very straightforward. There's no conditions. I move that this be approved.
Thank you.
Once again, just keep in mind that we just make recommendation to council, and they'll be meeting on June 24th, so it'd be advisable to be there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next application's A 2019-52, that's 284 Mauser Ave. Support or opposition, come forward, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have you had an opportunity to review staff's report?
I have.
Okay, they're recommending approval with conditions. Do you have any questions regarding those conditions?
No questions.
Okay, anyone have any questions or comments or a motion? Chair Bob?
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you to staff. There's an interesting note here from the region on source protection, I believe. And I'm wondering if there could be more information on that. And the second part of the question is, I see on the site plan that there's an addition to the rear of the building. I'm assuming there are no variances required for that.
If there was a variance required, it would have been requested of the applicant. So.
Okay. Yes, Scott? Oh, Jennifer?
A couple of questions, perhaps for the applicant. First of all, I'm not clear who this gentleman is. I note on the application form that the authorized agent appears to be an employee of the City of Kitchener. So I'm looking for some clarification on that. And also what exactly is driving the need for the variance. These are, looks like otherwise legal non-complying performance standards. So I'm just wondering what came about to require, that triggered the staff suggesting that they be legalized.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe there were some municipal works that had incurred at this location, which resulted in the reductions that are required by the variance. Mr. Allen is a project engineer, so he could speak to the details of what happened at this location, and that is why the city made the application on behalf of the applicant. So.
I'm sorry, did you need more clarification? So the City of Kitchener was doing a road reconstruction project in the area on the street. As part of these projects, there's a sidewalk infill policy. We were installing sidewalk on that street, and that resulted in a severe limitation on the parking inventory, which resulted in the application for the variance.
Just a follow-up question to you. So my understanding is at one point without the sidewalk, you were able to stack 2 cars in the driveway without going onto the traveled portion of the road, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And so there's nothing in here that indicates where the sidewalk is, but if you could confirm for me, you're still going to have about 5.5 meters between, I'm going to call it the new little retaining wall and the sidewalk in order to park that second space?
In the new expanded space, there will be 5.5 meters at least between the property line, the back of the sidewalk and the wall. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, it all makes sense to me now. Thank you very much.
Just for further clarification, through Mr. Chair, we will still require the property owners to enter into an encroachment agreement in order to continue to park where they've parked. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Scott?
Mr. Chairman, based on finally figuring out what's going on, I'm prepared to move the application based on the staff recommendation.
Second? Jennifer, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application is A 2019-53. It's 99 College Street. Any support or opposition come forward, please?
Good morning. My name is John Gibson, owner of the property.
Good morning, John. Have you had an opportunity to review staff report?
Yes, I have.
We're recommending approval with 3 conditions.
3 conditions, yes.
Fairly straightforward conditions, and there was no other comments from any other agencies. Anyone have any questions or comments? Mike?
Just as clarification on the recommendation, the narrative, although it doesn't affect the approval, the narrative indicates that the dwelling will have 3 units, and the application, as I read it, is for 4 units. So the narrative just has to be corrected, amended.
Good, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, as a follow-up question, I just want to confirm that a multiple dwelling with 4 units is permitted on the site. Presumably it is. No variance is being sought.
Sorry, I'm still
His recommendation, second line, it says 3 units, and the application was for 4 units.
My apologies, Ms. Van Westerholt. I was just wondering just confirming that 4 units is permitted on this site. Again, presumably no variance is being sought, so it would otherwise we would need to be clear in the approval.
Right. A multiple unit is permitted, so anything over 3 units is considered a multiple, so it's permitted.
Thank you.
Right.
And the performance standards that are being varied are otherwise legal, legal non-complying? It's the only thing that's changing is the number of units in the existing building, correct?
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question for the applicant. Have you applied for a building permit for the 4th unit yet, or?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Okay. Bob?
Just a quick follow-up to Scott's comment on the building permit. I'm assuming that's going to be controlled through the site plan?
That's correct.
All right. Anyone else? Questions, comments, motion? Mike? Excuse me. Okay, second. Bob, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is A 2054. It's 10 Gordon Ave. Support or opposition, come forward, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mark Boderman. I'm here on behalf of my wife, Claudine Boderman, owner of the house.
All right. If you had an opportunity to review staff's report, they're recommending refusal.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Mike?
I'll be Mike, for sure.
I'm sorry, Scott.
It's okay. Just a quick question for the applicant. Who created the second driveway, and how long has it been there?
We did. It's been there 18 years.
And how long has it been there, like the driveway?
Driveway, 18 years.
18 years. So what? Just a follow-up question for staff. What triggered the application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it was a complaint by a resident in the area. There was a number of complaints about properties in the area. This was one of them that was caught. Staff have recommended a refusal, but have also provided committee with an option if they choose to approve, because it has existed without incident for the the better part of 18 years.
Scott?
Mr. Chairman, I have comments, but if others have questions, maybe they should go first.
I have one question for Dave. Is there a visibility issue with this, with the neighboring driveway? If you look at the photo that's in this report, there you've got.
No, this one here he's talking about. Yeah. Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, I've looked at that and I don't see it to be an issue. Plus, it's also on a dead-end street, and there's not a lot of traffic volume going through there.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else?
I just have comments.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to comment that I know the staff at the city is usually always very good at working with the applicants to come to a resolution. And it's rare that they find themselves in a position where they refuse an application. And in most instances, I almost always support staff's recommendation. In this case, for a few different reasons, I'm prepared to support the application. Namely, there is no traffic or safety issues. While there may have been complaints, it looks like there's a number of residents who are also in support or have no issues with it. Heritage staff, I think it's important that heritage staff don't see it as an issue. My personal assessment is that it is desirable. It has no impact on the surrounding neighborhood. And I think the fact that it is at the end of a Hammerhead terminus road it also goes to impact and how minor it is. Very few people are going to drive by or be impacted by the cars coming and going from this property, so I'm prepared to support the application.
Scott?
Just to add to what my colleague has mentioned, I feel sympathy for the applicant as well. We just dealt with an application down the street where a fellow had widened his driveway out in the front yard, and in this case, had the applicant chosen to do that 18 years ago, they would have taken a tree down, which I think would have been very insensitive to the character of the area. So they've simply flipped that additional driveway on the other side. So I fully support this application as well.
If you're in support of the application, do you feel that there should be an encroachment agreement as a condition? Okay. Anyone else, Bob?
I just have a quick question to the applicant. The existing garage and rear of the house, do you utilize that now for parking on a regular basis?
No, we don't. Can't get back there because the driveway, since the fence has been put in,
Sorry, the driveway which?
The long driveway that goes back to the garage is too narrow between the fence and the house without causing damage to the vehicles if you try to go back there.
Bob, did you have something?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just a quick comment that this has, and to underscore what our colleagues have said, this has been in existence for 18 years, and only recently there has been some concern. To offset that some concern, there's a bunch of neighbors who have wrote in support of this application. I don't think there's any concerns at all, so I would suggest that we go with approval on the suggested wording from the city as a Plan B that they have indicated here with the encroachment agreement. So, Mr. Chair, that's my motion.
Motion, second. Scott, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is A 2019-55. That's 277 Field Sparrow Crescent. Anyone here in support or opposition, come forward, please.
Good morning, Paul from Klondike Homes.
Good morning. If you had an opportunity to review staff report?
Yes.
They're recommending approval with a condition. It's a fairly straightforward application, straightforward condition. Anyone have any questions or comments or a motion? Scott?
Just a quick question for the applicant. Is the variance just for a roof overhang, or is there plans to create a room or a space in there?
Just a covered porch area.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? Jennifer?
Motion to approve the application with the one condition set out in the staff report.
Second. Mike, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next application is A 2019-56. Anyone here in support or opposition, come forward, please.
Good morning, Trevor Hawkins from MHBC on behalf of HIP Developments.
Good morning. Staff's recommending approval with a condition. If you had an opportunity to review staff's report?
We have, and we are in support of staff's recommendation.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just a quick question to the applicant. Unit sizes and number of bedrooms, generally speaking, for the new development?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe it's around 18% two-bedroom units, and then the remainder would be one-bedroom units.
All right. Anyone else? Motion? Bob?
Mr. Chair, this complies with all zoning, etc. I don't see anybody who's opposed to this. I think it's a great idea, and so I will move that this be approved with the one condition.
Second. Jennifer? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application is A 2019-57. Support or opposition, come forward, please. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
I just had a question on this application. I think it was traffic have been waiting for a parking study.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have no issues with what was being proposed. We just would like a little bit more clarification from reducing the parking from 9 to 8 spaces.
Is there any reason that hasn't been done yet?
Through you, Mr. Chair, in the cover letter that was submitted with the minor variance application, we included justification for the parking reduction. I think in my discussions with staff, what they would like to see is that information actually pulled out and put it into its own justification report, which is what we have to do. I have no concerns that I can address that with staff and provide them what they need.
Was there any recommended conditions in that report, such as bicycle, anything like that?
No, I think the applicant will be able to cover everything off that's in there, because it'll be something fairly quick. It won't be an actual report, it'll probably be a few paragraphs, and then that'll all be needed for it. That's right, there won't be any conditions to the report.
Okay, anyone have any questions, comments? Scott?
Just a quick question for staff. I noticed on the site plan, and I'm assuming this has received conditional approval, you've got a corner sightline triangle that's going to be conveyed to the city. Will that put the setback out of compliance, or is there something in your zoning bylaw that allows, once that's taken place, to be satisfied?
That corner visibility triangle would be, from what I understand, would be from the region of Waterloo. The city wouldn't be taking that land. That would be something that they would do.
Still, the variance that's been requested is for a 3.4 meter setback, and if you look at the daylight triangle now becoming part of the road allowance, you're probably less than a meter away there in terms of a setback. I just want to make sure that it's going to be in full compliance once that takes place.
Sorry, the setback is taken from the original lot line before conveyance.
Okay. Jennifer?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, just a couple of quick questions. I'm having trouble, and I'm sure it's just me, understanding where the parking spaces are being provided when I look at the site plan. Perhaps I could have a brief explanation or just point to me if it's these arrows, if they're within the buildings, I'm not clear. And then secondly, we don't have the planning justification report that provided the parking justification. So if you could briefly summarize how the reduction by one space was justified, that would be helpful as well. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Each of the units is roughly 500 square feet in size, one-bedroom units. Each unit has its own garage. So on the site plan where you see the arrows, those are garages on the back of the units. They do meet zoning bylaw requirements for size. We've confirmed that. With regard to the parking reduction itself, we spoke in the cover letter to the sidewalks naturally, bus service in this area, bicycle provisions on site to meet bylaw requirements, and basically just down to the size of the unit itself, being a single bedroom or one bedroom unit. Normally 2-bedroom units draw a different parking requirement or higher demand for parking. With the size of the units and them being one bedroom, we felt that supported the reduction as well from 9 spaces to 8 spaces. And further, we would suggest or also follow up that the amount of barrier-free parking is being provided as per the bylaw, as well as visitor parking.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
All right. Anyone else? Motion, recommendation, question?
Mr. Chair, I'll move that the application be approved, subject to the conditions set out, the one condition set out in the staff report requiring a sort of formal parking justification brief.
All right. Second? Scott, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application is A 2019-58. Supporter opposition, come forward, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Chris Pigeon from GSP Group. In support.
Oh, they are. Okay. Question for you. At the time that this was originally approved for the first variance, was there a parking analysis report?
In 2016?
Yeah.
There was, yes.
There would have been one. Was there any, once again, recommendations that were found through that report that needed to be implemented, such as car share, bike storage, things like that?
Yeah, the TDM measures were a condition, were a requirement to be implemented in the catalyst.
Okay. If this was to be reanalyzed as an update to that report, do you think that there would be anything further that would be required?
Through Mr. Chair, no, I don't believe there would be anything additional from the applicant required. No.
You're confident of that?
I am confident about that. We've worked on this for a number of years.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Scott?
Just a comment, I just want to applaud staff for being proactive in dealing with this rather than dealing with it on a permit basis. I think this is a great way of dealing with it, and on that basis, I'm prepared to support the application subject to the condition being recommended.
Second, Bob?
Just a quick comment, and I don't mean to delay this meeting. I couldn't help but notice on the third page that city planning staff conducted a site inspection of the property via bicycle. That's great. Whoever that person who attended staff who went there on their bicycle, give them a pat on the back from me. I think that's great. I second Scott's motion.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
All right, next application is A 2019-24. It's 209 to 211 Hyman Street. Support or opposition, come forward, please. Just there's a regional condition that needs to get inserted into this, Diane. And have you had an opportunity to review staff's report?
Yes, I have.
Okay, they're recommending approval with conditions. I just want to draw your attention, just so that you're aware of it. It's on the record. There was a note from engineering in regards to timing. I don't know if you picked up on that. It was the third paragraph down.
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. Staff's recommending approval with conditions. The Regents asked for a condition as well. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Jennifer?
Mr. Chair, just want to confirm the intent of the severance. Ultimately, the use would be, the proposed use is to, it's a proposed addition, so it's going to be like a sort of a semi-detached?
Yes, we're turning the existing house into a semi-detached, and then we're severing it to create each side.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Motion? Bob?
Mr. Chair, I move this be approved with the 8 city conditions and the 1 from the region.
All right, second? Mike, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the applicant's obviously not here for Frederick Street. This is the second time.
I spoke to him. He had forgotten again that he had to attend, and I said he needs to be here before the end of the meeting.
No, we're at the end of the meeting, so move for a motion to adjourn. Mike? Yeah. Second? Bob? All in favor, carried. Yeah.